Hello and welcome to show number 82 of the 1420 Sports Podcast. For beer with a sports talk and a whole lot more. Brought to you once again by Bud Light, the beer that never fills you up and will never let you down. I'm your host, Brent Radlinski, recording once again from the basement studios of Yankee Tavern North, along with Dave Van Robes, who's in the Dutch oven, who both of us are in Lethbridge, Alberta. Referee Tim Peel was relieved of his duties as an NHL referee on Wednesday morning for comments he made during Tuesday night's game between the Nashville Predators and Detroit Red Wings. Was he let go because of what he said, or because it is now publicly known what happens on a night in, night out basis throughout the sports world? A couple of weeks back, I compared Connor McDavid to Phil Kessel. Tonight, we'll compare McDavid to Sid the not-so-kid anymore. Will McDavid ever reach the stature that Crosby has? Dynasty was a great nighttime soap opera back in the 80s. We'll talk some dynasties in the sports world that will never be forgotten. And for many of us, the first time we heard a song on the radio was a stepping stone to buying our first CDs or cassettes when we were kids. We'll discuss some game changers for us that may have molded the musical taste that we have today. It's a lot of M's right there. Anyways, it's been a great week here at the 1420 World Headquarters. So let's wrap it up with another great show. Sit back, grab their beverage of choice, and let's get into her. As we were recording the show on Tuesday night, we were unaware of the goings on in the National Hockey League, and why would you be watching a Nashville Predators Detroit Red Wings game at any time if it wasn't 15 or 20 years ago? Timmy Peel, he got himself in a heap of trouble, mic'd up, got suspended the next morning. He won't be refereeing in the National Hockey League ever again. Background story, he was going to be retiring anyways after the season was done. Dave, did Tim Peel get fired because of what he said, or because he got caught opening up the Wizard of Oz?
Yes, but before we go on to this topic, I can't believe you didn't give me an introduction today, and I'm a little bit miffed at you. It's the 200th anniversary of Greek independence. The producer didn't let you know?
I was going to get into that a little bit later on.
Oh, no, we got to recognize. I had my Spanakopita and my Moussaka. I had some Ouzo. I can't believe we're not leaving.
I was going to get into that a little bit earlier on, or later on, sorry, when she's out getting groceries or doing whatever she's doing, probably just smoking cigarettes, but
hey, it's Greek's 200th independence.
Like Greek's 200th independence, the whatever their currency is worth, less than it was ever, whatever. So, way to go, Greek. Sorry, Dave. I slighted her. I apologize. I was got a lot.
Not on my watch, man.
Yeah, there we go. I appreciate that for you reminding me. Now I'm going to get persecuted later on when she comes home.
Well, she knows who has her back in the 1420 squad anyways.
Apparently it's not me. That's yeah. Guess who's getting the couch tonight?
Well, she won't publish, and she doesn't listen anyways.
No one really does. But yeah, Timmy Peel with the refereeing thing, I didn't know who the guy was, and I think that makes a good official when you don't know who the referees are. Like you look back in the days, Kerry Fraser had the great hair. That's why you knew who he was. But this guy's been around for a long time. He was mic'd up, said something he shouldn't have said. I wanted to give the Nashville penalty early. And why he did, I have no idea. It's none of our, will never be in the minds of the guy, and he won't get a chance for his day in court. Did he get suspended because he said what he said, and he looked like he was being biased, or did he open up the closet to the Wizard of Oz? Everybody knew that was a thing.
There's a lot of things to break down. You said we didn't know his name, and that was because that's what a good official should be.
Absolutely.
But we don't know his name because he's never done a playoff game. And why has he never, as an official in his career, done a playoff game? And if he's ready to retire, there's only one reason you don't ref playoff games as a veteran.
They do have a rating system for sure. He's not good enough. He's not in the top 5, 6, 8 referees or whatever it is. Yeah.
So he's an average ref. He's like a placeholder, right? He's a union guy and he does a job and he's not screwing up enough. So it tells me that he's had a middling career as an official. That's all that tells me. And now for him to, I don't know. I'll never understand how officials' minds work, especially some officials. And I could see someone of a middling career every now and then wanting to make a difference in the game just because he can. And that's what it seems like to me. And now they got him dead to rights. I imagine there's complaints we don't know. But now he's caught. And now go.
But hockey, like even when I was a kid, like minor hockey, I would bet you, unless it was a complete shit show, I would bet you, and even when I moved on to junior hockey and everything else, I'd put dollars to donuts that once the game was done, the penalty sheet would do this. As I'm putting for listeners, my hands are going to the same level. I bet you penalties were 9-8, 8-7 when it was all said and done. There's even up calls that happened from minor hockey right to the NHL just to make it an even game, and it's wrong. It's so wrong on so many levels. Does it happen? Yes. Has been happening forever at every level. Yes, but I think that hockey does it, and I've said this before, and I'm not giving baseball a free ride at all. But hockey's tough because hockey is so much more judgmental because the rule book is vague, but you can say, well, that guy wouldn't, that he would have fallen. Like the penalty's like an offside's an offside. But a penalty, you go, well, it wasn't really a high stick, and he didn't really trip him. There was a collision, it was interference. Well, it's so subjective. Like what you see, and the guys are moving so fast, it's so subjective to what happens. And these guys can make stuff up in their head and nobody questions it. Because you can't. It's a tough job, but I think hockey's been building this for a long time. And a guy got called out on it and he's gone. Is he gone because he got caught, or because of the hockey's wrong?
No, because he got caught. That's why. But that mindset is also wrong, and it's for both reasons. Yes, he doesn't have a leg to stand on as an official. Like this is it's wrong. Like it's like a magician showing someone how to do a trick, right? Like it's an odd comparison, but
okay, I'll interrupt you for half a second here, but I'm never half a second when I start talking, but I got thinking about the behind the doors, behind the door stuff.
Behind the curtain
stuff. And I kind of got through, I don't know what reason it was back in 1990, whatever it was, when the Vince McMahon he had to say that wrestling was fake to get out of the lawsuit with the steroid scandal and everything else. So he came out and he said, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit.
It's scripted.
It's scripted. And it was to get out of the lawsuit. And he was persecuted by wrestling fans saying, well, it can't be. We all knew it was, but we wanted to believe that it wasn't. So now hockey fans are like, we all knew that these referees were bullshit and were making up calls and doing what they wanted, but we didn't want to believe it. Same kind of idea in my head. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, but I think what I want to believe is that this Allen, is that his name, that got canned?
Tim Peel.
So this Tim Peel guy, I as a fan, I want to believe that he is the exception that proves the rule. No matter what profession, whether it be a policeman or a waitress or a teacher, you got someone that is just putting in time and just making it up as they go along, and knowing that they're protected under the union and all that kind of stuff. There is a very small percentage of people like that, and I think this guy is in his profession, if that makes sense.
I don't know, Dave, because
Because it's it's a great fucking job that this Tim Peel had for the last 20 years. But he's never been in the playoffs. He's been in the bottom third.
Hockey fans will say it through and through. Put your fucking whistle away. When they're up in the stands watching the game, 3-3 game, you can't call that. Well, no, it's a freaking penalty. Of course I'm going to call that. So hockey,
but that has nothing to do with Tim Peel. I don't understand that.
But the culture of hockey has accepted that there's these makeup calls and these phantom calls that get missed, and things just get made up along the way.
Well, no, it's just, this is quite the Pandora's box you've opened up now, because I'll say it forever. Like a penalty in the third period in a close game is much more egregious than a penalty in the first period. And that gets ramped up more and more, especially like third period of a 1-goal game in the playoffs. Like you really gotta.
So this,
and I understand, and they still call it egregious stuff. You can't play hockey like the Leafs did with the Tucker Corson days.
I agree, but the thing is that we can't persecute a guy for. He should not have said what he said on the ice. He was mic'd up. Bad timing. Timmy Peel, bad timing. You had a few games left. You were done. But he said what the fans are saying in the stands. That's a horseshit call, whatever. But, it's one of those makeup calls. We all know what happens.
I don't like to think it. No, I'm going to disagree. I don't know what happens. I honestly think the majority of these fellas out there officiating a game that's I don't, in today's day and age, maybe a couple years back, not anymore. Like, they might call a ticky-tack one, but if they've been forced to call 4 in a row, they know they're calling that fourth penalty in a row against that team. But then stop fucking hooking. Right.
Well, here's a novel idea. Call it by the rule book.
But it's a good thing about having humans.
See, and here we go. You'll never get away from it. You'll never ever get away from
bias.
From the bias of an official, as long as there's emotion involved. You never will, because you can't tell me that somebody didn't say something to a referee 3 months ago, and that ref, I'm going to get that son of a bitch.
Not in the playoffs, no chance, no way.
Not in the playoffs, but some fourth line winger in the OHL or something, or WHL, makes his way to the NHL. He goes, some referees going to be vindictive towards him. You can't tell me it doesn't happen.
I'm not saying
that's human emotion, man.
I get it, but then also on the flip side of that, the official might go up to said player and say, "Hey, we had a pass in your junior days. Congratulations! I'm proud of you for making the show. Let's have a good game." Something like that. Then it's done, and then I think
I completely agree that probably happens more often than what I just described. I completely agree, and I hope that happens.
Let's have a good game. We've both made it to the next level. Let's have a good game. We start from scratch. Something like that.
I would think that happens a lot more often than the other way. But you can't tell me that emotion doesn't come in, because no matter what, emotion is it might be the worst thing that God put in us, because man, we take emotion to a different level.
I hear you, but I think my expectations of an official at the highest level, that's not a factor, and I honestly believe that.
Are you okay as a fan though? Are you against when the game's getting away? Okay, let's get out of here. Are you against that? Are you against an official kind of turn a blind eye for a pass interference call in a football game? Oh well, whatever. padding
No,
the
I'm not.
stats or
No, I'm not.
it's
I'm
a
not
bad
against
example,
that.
but you
Like,
know what I mean? Like
when it's over, it's over. Let's not slow the game down. There's
let's
no
get it
harm.
over with.
Like, yeah, I don't see any blood. Let's go.
An example, and I didn't gonna talk about something else a little later on, but I was involved in an absolute blowout in Brooks a couple summers ago. It had to have been 14 or 15-2. Medicine Hat was beating Brooks. It was gross. This one kid came up to bat for Medicine Hat, and I had a pretty good rapport with him throughout the season. I said, "Hey, Austin, it's 15-2, man." He looked at me all funny. I said, "It's 50." He goes, "Oh, I get it." He come up swinging. I said, "Let's get out of here." Like it's the WCBL, so it's not the same level as the NHL, obviously, but let's get out of here. You know, like it didn't
Let's
affect
call
the
our night.
game.
Let's run some clock.
The quicker we get out
Right?
of here, the quicker we can both go to our separate drinking establishments, have a couple of beers, and see you later. We can talk about this and laugh about it later on. At the NHL level, millions and millions of dollars are involved. It's a different thing, but we've all know it's been happening. We all know whistles get put away in the playoffs. We don't like chintzy calls being called in the playoffs, but you know what? Maybe they just should call the game.
Yeah, but
A penalty first.
Yeah, and you know,
third.
but there's also a way of reffing a game. Like, okay, this is
so game management's a thing.
Without a doubt, it's like, especially on a timed game.
Yeah.
Like baseball's a different animal because it's not timed, obviously, but like you can run clock in hockey, right? Like, just don't keep the whistle in your pocket, and like, guys, don't do anything stupid. It's over. Like, when it's 6-2, don't do something stupid. Let's just kill this last 4 minutes and we're gone.
See, this could go on forever, but what if it's 3-2 and a penalty that was called in the first, the exact same thing happens on a 3-2, give a team a power play? It makes no sense.
I think in the regular season
You're talking out of both sides of your mouth a little bit.
No. But I think in the regular season it might have a little bit of a difference then. And it's really dependent, and I think a good official and teams know and respect just how a fella calls a game, and then that's the understanding. And you and I, and everybody that watches the game of hockey knows this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not against seeing a penalty in a third, but call it and be right when you call it, because they are penalties that happen, and otherwise the game drags down into the gutter, and I don't like that hockey.
I think the NHL got a free pass because it was a guy who was retiring at the end of the season, and they were able to make a statement. They were able to find a guy. Okay, we can nail this guy to the cross because he's leaving anyways. Giving notice to other officials, hey, they're onto us, or not onto us. We've been onto them forever.
This is not tolerated. Yeah, this is not tolerated.
It's out there now, and now everybody knows.
It's official. Yeah.
Now we know wrestling's fake. You know, it's you know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know. We can beat this to death forever. Anyways, past the 7,000 mark today. Huge accomplishment for the 1420 podcast. We'll give some shout outs and some congratulations and thanks and pat each other in the back a little later on the show. Keep listening on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcast, all of them. One thing I would like to know from all listeners, let me know which ones you guys listen to, and then we can kind of promote those ones a little bit, or not promote as much, if that makes any sense, so we can get people listening on the other ones that aren't listened to as much, or maybe even just drop them from the repertoire. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I know what I'm trying to say. I just don't know how to say it. But thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. It's been a wild ride for the 7 months we've been doing this. So we were a fledgling podcast for the first month or so, but we've gone into something a little bit more than we expected, for sure. So thank you very much. A couple of weeks back, I had a conversation with the voices in my head about who I'd rather be. I did a hypothetical would you rather without Dave being here. It was Connor McDavid and Phil Kessel, and I was unanimous to Phil Kessel. He can just ride into the sunset. We touched on it a little while, a week ago, Dave and I did. We never got a definitive answer from Dave about Phil Kessel or Connor McDavid. You did say, I remember you did say Phil Kessel all day, every day. But Dave, why do you think that? And Phil, for people who didn't catch that last show, Give us that little tape before we get into Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby debate.
I don't remember saying I would rather be Phil Kessel than McDavid. I never said that.
But you said, what career would you rather have?
Oh, at this point.
Yeah.
Yes. Then Phil. Okay. Yeah. So with the full understanding, McDavid still has the rest of his career.
Yeah.
Like Kessel has he has a great resume, right? Yeah. Except you don't look when you're looking at remembering a player's career. You don't remember when they were the laughing stock, like when he was in Toronto, when he was expected to lead. He can't be I think he's proven he can't carry a hockey team, but he has proven that he's a very lethal piece for a team that's ready to win.
Yeah.
And that's what you remember someone like him. And now McDavid, so far in his career, he's the single most lethal piece in the NHL, but he doesn't have a supporting cast. And that's not on McDavid. But
okay, let's get into this a little bit then. Let's go the next step, and I'm not comparing Sidney Crosby to Phil Kessel by any means, because they're two. But will Connor McDavid ever be able, with the Edmonton Oilers, be able to reach the resume and the status that Sidney Crosby has? Crosby, third year in the league, he went to the finals, won a Stanley Cup in his fourth year. He's got 3 cups. The golden goal, that's not on. Like McDavid wasn't allowed to go to the Olympics and everything else because of the NHLPA and all that hoo-ha, the collective bargaining agreement. But man, oh man, Crosby's status, he doesn't have, I shouldn't say he doesn't have the numbers that McDavid's projected to have with the way McDavid's going. But the status that Crosby has, I can't see McDavid reaching that if he stays with the Oilers. I just can't.
It would surprise me. It would really, really, really surprise me if he could. And you know what? Like, I don't know. Like, he's going to be a free agent again when he's 28. So let's see what happens. He's bound to the Oilers for the next 7 years. So, like, I don't know. I don't want to put any. It's just unfair to compare, because Sid Crosby came into a team that wasn't very good, but then they also had Malkin, who's another Hall of Famer. So 2 Hall of Fame centers. That
McDavid has Draisaitl.
No, but like, and not that's taken some time, and then also key. But fuck, Dave, get it together here. The way McDavid and Draisaitl, they're the only 2 pieces. Whereas Pittsburgh had other pieces. Like, they were solid, but like Letang, and they had a good D-man for.
They had goaltending.
Yeah. Edmonton doesn't have the support system down the mid, like anywhere. Well,
from the GM down, they don't have the support system. They do now. Like it's Kenny Holland's there now and everything else.
It's an unfair comparison compared to the franchises that they're with.
But is it really? Because Pittsburgh has been close to shutting the doors a couple of times. Like, Lemieux saved their franchise twice by getting drafted, going there, and then buying the franchise and everything else. So is it an unfair comparison?
100%. 100%. Like, I think the Edmonton Oilers are a vanity project of what's his nuts that owns Rex. Yeah. And that's it. Like, there's no, that's it.
Okay.
Whereas in Pittsburgh, I think it's different.
Let's go to part B, which we don't want to talk about, but we always end up talking about it. Money. Crosby took $8.7 million. He's number 87 for X amount of years. I can't remember the length of the contract. Doesn't matter. McDavid went max money. as much as he could
No,
possibly.
that's not true.
Not
No,
max.
no.
Okay, look, not max money because he probably should have got $20 million for how good he is. Let's say he takes a couple bucks less. Let's say he takes, what's his number, 97? Let's say he takes 9.7 million instead of 12. That frees up
I'm ready.
2.3 million bucks. That's a good defenseman. That's $2.3 million for a decent goaltender. 2.3 plus what they're paying the guy. There's money that was taken by the McDavid camp that Crosby gave up for how many years? Does that make any sense?
100%. I know exactly what you're talking about. But now these are that's what's funny about a hockey salary cap, because the salary cap is projected to go up, and COVID. This was time before COVID.
Yeah.
The projections were like an incremental rise in salary cap.
Yeah.
And then so now the Oilers might be under the pinch right now in year 1 and 2, but in years 7 and 8 of that deal, now that's a deal. What's your payment? And he's still 28.
Probably.
And so, like, I don't think it's fair for a player to be grossly underpaid in 8 years and getting maybe a little bit more than you'd want to now. Think of the money that's going to be saved at the end of that contract.
So why was Crosby willing to do it and McDavid wasn't?
I think.
I stumped you, didn't I?
Yeah, no, but I don't know the facts, but I'm thinking on a projective scale, right? Like I think hockey players, that's their money deal, and if they don't cash in a bit, it's a detriment to themselves in their future, because you don't want to be making Buck and Scottie Pippen money when everybody else is walking around making Jordan money.
So watching Flyers got dismantled by the Rangers. My brother's him and his fiance, they're Flyers fans. There's a long story behind that. But on that note, because of these contracts that the second year contracts these guys are getting, are players getting forced into the NHL a little too soon, Carter Hart, and getting lit up on a nightly basis now because these guys are getting these second year contracts that are so huge when they're not ready to play? Is that kind of destroying some careers? Like I don't think a goaltender should come out of junior hockey and go right to the NHL. Carter Hart was a great confidence, and now like this kid is going to be just screwed for what's going on because he got lit up again. Like it's just not going well for kind of hot, as the guys on Spit and Chicklets say. Like, ugh.
Here's my 2 bits to that statement is that I do think the analytics in hockey have taken a turn as to be absolutely cost effective. Like just taking Flyers, like the young contracts now are disposable pieces. Like it's just either it works or it doesn't, and then we'll sign them to that bridge deal if it's working, and then we'll see. Like I don't know how long Kachuk's bridge deal in Calgary is, but like it's
too fucking long way he's playing.
Oh yeah, it's I think it was a fair deal. I when that was signed, I thought it was a fair deal.
I thought it was a great deal. Now it's like, oh boy.
And now it's just like, geez, can you be an RFA now?
It wouldn't surprise. It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me if they didn't trade him in the next couple of weeks or month or in the week and a half between. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
But like that's something like what the hell went wrong there? Because something did.
Yeah, he was here, and like I'm doing it on the radio again. My hand went up now and down. Not good. It's ugly in Calgary. Not even a Sutter can save that mess.
But we digress. Like the point was like these contracts that the kids are expected to sign, and I don't think NHL players should take pay cuts. I really don't. Because, I say, in the long run, at the asset of your contract.
I agree with you, Dave, to an extent. But Connor McDavid, if he's making 9.7 instead of 12 million, I mean, $2.3 million is a lot of money. I'd take that in a heartbeat. But his endorsements and his this and his that and investments, he'll make that up anyways. Don't you want to win?
No, fuck that. And then like the league and he can't be the best player in the planet and be paid like a chump.
Well, he can't be paid. I know he needs to make. I understand he needs to make the most money. He's the best player in the league, and it's not even close.
And he is. And now, but you're kind of. But so what? Like, what else?
Win.
You still got time. That's not on him. I think he's trying really fucking hard. But
but his contract hampers the team to do anything else.
No, the management of that team is hampering them.
So why did Sidney Crosby take 8.7 forever and ever and ever to match his number, and McDavid couldn't do the same thing? So who's a better team guy, Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby?
Poor question. I'm not going to answer that.
I think it's a great question.
No, it's ridiculous. It's totally different circumstances, totally different times, total different support.
Crosby knew that they needed to sign other guys other than him to win a Stanley Cup. McDavid knows that I can make the most money. I don't know.
Wrong. No, I'm not getting into that.
I just think that maybe he's not the same guy that, because it was to sign Malkin to this, I need to take this. Whereas McDavid said max money. Not max. He deserves more. He does. He's worth $20 million. If he's an NBA player, be getting $65 million.
So McDavid's underpaid. You're saying he's underpaid. So
Absolutely.
He's underpaid, but it's also his fault for getting paid too much. No, you're wrong. You're wrong.
I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong on this one.
So wrong.
I'm just saying if he was in a different sport, he'd be getting paid more. But he's not.
Do you think? Hey, let's pretend he made $1 this year. How would the others spend that money to build a winner? Like sign a couple more Luciches? Like I don't know. Is fucking BX are gonna come out of retirement to lead that decor?
I don't know.
A full piston in the wind that management team.
The management team, the franchise has been in a downhill spiral for a lot of years. It's just
I just whatever.
It's odd. And we agree to disagree on this one. Anyways, we'll agree to disagree on this one. The producer picked up some sweatshirts this week. They're perfect around the campfire, wherever you guys. Dave, we were talking about how great the weather was 2 weeks ago. It's supposed to be great this weekend. The up and down, it is still March, like we said off the air, but man, would it be nice just to get a constant, just like this, just a constant level where it's rising, not the up and down of a graph chart of an Oilers payroll.
I don't mind the up and downs, and I'll tell you why, because it's still not there to be consistent. So I'd rather roll the dice and just have reminders of how nice it's going to be pretty quick.
There we go.
And then a coolness to bring it. It increases the appreciation of it.
Anyways, if everything goes according to plan, the Easter weekend's supposed to be good. Dave and I are hoping to get back together outside here at the Yankee Tavern North. We'll set up outside. We'll do a show on Saturday or Sunday on Easter weekend there. If the weather holds, we're following COVID rules. It's turned out really well. The sound has improved. We had a little mishap a long time ago, but good thing that it did because it's improved our listenership. It's improved a lot of stuff for the podcast. And so 68, I think it was, Dave. Special thanks to Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, or Jim Schwarn as he's known now. Thanks, Jim, for being the audio editor of the show. We sent the last one to you. You got it out, added some music here and there. Thank you very much for doing that for us, Jim. It's greatly appreciated. We hope to take the show to another level in the upcoming days and weeks and months and whatever's coming for the show. So thank you very much, Jim. All right, because we were a little bit heated, we like to carry this conversation on a little bit. Not that either guy's right or either guy's wrong. It's just we have a different thought process. Sometimes we agree too much. This one we're not agreeing on. Is Connor McDavid, because the other night when I was on the show with Matt on Saturday, I think it was, we brought up Mike Trout with the California Angels or Anaheim Angels or whatever they're calling themselves this week. Is Connor McDavid the exact same player as Mike Trout?
At this point in their careers, I couldn't find a better, more. That's him in another sport. Like, just so good and recognized by their peers as the best, generational talent, and no chance to hoist the trophy at the end of the year. Both those guys. And that's how the organization. So like is Trout taking pay cuts? Like, well, no. And no one's shitting on him.
I do. I think Mike Trout, until he does something, is the same as McDavid. Hey, man, you could, because if you, especially Trout, if you're making 45, why not take 30?
But like, to the detriment of what? Like, the Angels have had a decade of that guy.
So I can go get a pitcher the same way McDavid can go get a goalie.
So like, and no championship organization builds their team through free agent spending. Look at anywhere. You cannot buy a championship. You can add pieces, but the core of any championship team comes from drafted talent.
Huh.
And
that's
now
a funny thing That's a funny thing you should say that, because a lot of people say the Yankees bought championships when their core four was drafted guys. So
without a doubt, like that's completely right. And then and that's why I have a problem with you blaming these players taking money. Why? So they can waste it on a free agent? You can't win championships by signing free agents in anything. You can add pieces. And you can
but hockey's different. You cannot build a franchise. You don't have enough time. You don't have enough time to build a franchise from goaltenders right out through in 5 years. You
don't. Here. So here we go. Let's go back to the Penguins. Crosby drafted.
Malkin
drafted.
Fleury.
Letang drafted. Fleury drafted. So there's 4. And then so you get those guys.
But then they went and signed Phil the Thrill, and then they got it. They won 2 cups.
Because they had to before him too, right?
With Crosby has 3, so only 1. Like in the Crosby years, he has 3. But
okay, yeah. But nonetheless, and that's the key acquisition. And he was on a trade, and I think Toronto was paying him to play for Pittsburgh, to tell you the truth.
I gotta get myself a job where I'm getting paid from 2 different companies at one point, because my God, well, you can't tell him what to do because he's paying me and you're paying, and I'm just here, man. Whatever.
Now I'm not a leader, and now like fucking rights. That's I can score and I have skill. So let's do this.
Could you imagine that working for one company where another one's paying you?
So when the Leafs pay him, does he get a check from the Leafs?
Who knows how that works, eh?
And Pittsburgh?
Yeah. Here's another 850 grand going to my bank account today. 425 from the Leafs and 425 from Pittsburgh. I couldn't imagine.
The Leafs had paid 60% of my salary to win this cup.
I've always wondered, we've talked about this on past 1420 podcast, Dave, where how do these GMs make phone calls and conversations where they go, okay, I got a deal for you. We'll pay you to take this guy 50% of his contract. We don't want him so badly. And the GM goes, nah, we're good. We don't want him either.
And I think
these conversations would be mind-boggling. Why that's not a 30 for 30 somehow. And it'd be good to see a 30 for 30 of that, of a guy, it happened to be the athlete who agreed to the conversation between the GMs.
And there's, especially in the NHL, I think with the way the salary cap works, you can trade, the other team could pay, but the team that has him gets the full salary cap hit. A team like Florida or something like that to make the floor.
Like with Arizona's got guys who've been retired. Like Chris Pronger, I think, still getting paid.
Yeah.
Getting paid from Arizona. Never played one game there. He could go to the Hall of Fame as a Phoenix Coyote. He's still getting paid because the NHL can pay. It's just bizarre. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, we've quite digressed on this topic.
Yeah. Anyways,
to say that McDavid, even though his contract may be a little high to have flexibility for the Oilers, I think we're agreed on you can't buy championships. You have to build it through the draft. And B, that salary of McDavid is going to be a deal 7 years from now.
Well, we said why not? We'll give the comparison like we gave off the air. And I don't like both of us are pretty sure that the Jerome McGinley years didn't overlap with the Johnny Gaudreau years in Calgary. But let's hypothetically say they did. Let's say if McGinley, he's a Calgary legend. Let's say if he was playing for Calgary when Gaudreau came in, McGinley was making, this is all hypothetical. Do not get back to me with McGinley was making more. This is just a hypothetical. If McGinley was making $5 million when Gaudreau got his $7 million deal, would McGinley go, you can't pay that kid this much when I'm only making this much because I'm Jerome frickin' McGinley, Calgary legend, and this is Johnny Hockey, weighs 160 pounds, and he's not going to win anything here. So that's the comparison you can kind of make with what you're saying about McDavid. And I totally agree with you because 8 years down the road, when the finances go up, what are you going to do? Right? It's a tough deal. And it's crazy to me that the money goes so high, and you hear these obscene amounts of money that you just know are going to go up in 5 years.
Yeah, so like you're it's the long-term deal. Sign now and save. Right?
Well, you look at the that piece of shit A-Rod's contract, and it's nothing now. Like that money's nothing now.
Well, it's still a chunk of change.
It's a lot, but
they can, and that's why
guys are getting that every day now.
Yeah, it's term. It's all about term for those guys, right? Like David Price, like Boston's paying him to pitch for the Dodgers right now, isn't he?
Which is crazy because the Dodgers have more money than anybody, like actually anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's so insane. Anyways, we won't have a bunch of time to talk about this because we kind of leaked into the topic before. But Dynasties, to me, we talked about on the last show about the Duke Blue Devils, how they rolled through 2 or 3 national championships with Christian Laettner, and then you look into the Tom Brady years with the New England Patriots, and now he's with Tampa and probably win another one next year. LeBron James and what he's done. Dynasties to me are great for sport, Dave. It either brings it brings more people to every sport because either you want to see a team win another one, or you want someone to unseat the team that's on a bit of a roll. What's your take on Dynasties and not Linda Evans?
I like them. Like it's when you look back. Well, when I look back on my sports memories, like you remember championships by those teams all the time. Like the Chicago Bulls. Like that was when I was
great to watch.
High school. Yeah, it was fun to watch. It made me a basketball fan in my university years. And then the 2 years off, and then coming back and winning 3 again. It was neat to watch, and same with like the Oilers when I was a fan. It really endears you to a team, and I can understand how so many kids become Yankees fans because in the 90s they were so good, and I get that.
Yeah. No, it's something that brings no one. What's something the producer, how she words it? Nothing brings two people together like the dislike of another. So there's so many people who dislike a team if they're good, or if they're winning. And I remember back in the 80s watching those Oiler teams, and I wish I was the other way around. We were Flames people because 2 and 7 had the Flames. We didn't have ITV back in Fort McLeod cable when it came out. So you were a Flames fan on because every Thursday there's a Flames game on, and you learn to hate the Oilers. I really wish I would have liked the Oilers back then for what they were doing. It was such a you look at those numbers that those guys are putting on, and the names that you look back on now: Curry, Gretzky, Messier, Fuhr, Anderson, Lowe, but you know what I'm getting? Tikkanen, like all these guys. It's like, holy Christ.
Grant Fuhr, Ranford.
All of them. And then you get,
yeah.
And then just all these names and these dynasties. Then you go to other sports, and when you think of the Lakers, like now kids now think of LeBron. We think, because we're a little older vintage, I guess. When you say Lakers, what's the first word you think of?
Kobe.
You're
or
Kobe?
Magic Johnson.
I'm Magic. When I think Lakers, I say Magic.
I hate Magic. I hated Magic. Oh, I couldn't stand Magic.
Why is that?
I just don't like his act, and we're gonna leave it at that. I've never been a Magic Johnson fan.
Well, he can be a bit much. I know where you're getting. I'm glad you're not saying it here in the 1420 podcast because it might get us banned from iTunes or something. But I know what you're saying. And then you think of the Niners back in the 80s and Montana and Rice and the dynasties. Like I said, it's just what you remember about that era of football.
Yeah, and then it's harder for a dynasty in football. So in football, and those, I guess we'll call them mini dynasties, but the Niners with Montana and Steve Young, but
yeah.
Also Rice, right? And then Dallas Cowboys with Aikman and Emmett, and
those teams were
Irvin.
So good.
They had such a good front line and a couple years of prime time on both those teams.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the thing about the dynasties of football and hockey and baseball, all of them. They start off the season. Let's talk Alabama, like we talked the other night. They start the season off at number 1, and everybody's gunning for them, and the media hype around all those teams, like who's going to unseat these teams. And until it goes completely sideways, that dynasty team still has a chance. Until it goes completely sideways and free agents, whatever happens. Gretzky gets traded. And they still won one after that. Right?
But that doesn't happen at Alabama. They're going to be there
forever and ever.
Until they change the rules, Alabama is going to be there as long as Nick Saban is there. That's it.
Now, if you were an Alabama fan, and I hope you're not, well, you're a Michigan guy. If you're, what pleasure do you get out of it year after year when there's really no adversity?
I don't know.
There's no nail biters, and the Yankees haven't won one since 2009, and 2017 they came close, and you're like, oh man, and then they didn't. When you just beat teams up year after year in the SEC, which is supposed to be this great conference, when there's really only 3 teams are any good, and what pleasure do you get out of just beating the brains out of teams year after year?
It's one of those things. I don't know. It's a problem I'd like to know. I'll tell you that as a sports fan. But
yeah, if I could have a team, one of my teams win one of these decades, I guess.
It's I wonder.
Does that question make sense though?
Oh no, so now it's why does a rock star do heroin? Because
the other ones weren't good enough, I guess.
Well, because playing in front of 20,000 people, adoring fans every now isn't a big enough high for you. So this is getting old. What's better than 20,000 people singing along with me? I know, heroin. That'll do it. So much better.
I don't know.
I don't know the answer either. Like, it's too much of a good thing.
It, is there a disdain for that first team that loses, that doesn't make win or get the championship, or like if you're a like I can't believe they didn't win, and then you just hate those guys.
We can put it in this thing, like in World Juniors with Canada.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
it's silver's a failure, right?
yeah. We don't like those
So
guys very much.
so but like
Yeah,
in a
that's a good point.
way,
I never thought
we
of that.
can
That's a good point.
you can't equate that feeling emotionally to Alabama. As
Yeah,
a Canadian World Junior fan, how do you feel when Canada wins the silver?
yeah. We send those kids to Saskatchewan. I think I don't even know what I don't know.
The
Whatever.
names are much more
Sorry, Saskatchewan. I'm
forgettable.
very sorry, Saskatchewan, but they're more forgettable. They lost
Yeah,
this year. Name 3 kids.
Cousins.
That's because he played in Lethbridge.
You're right.
I forgot about it already. I mean, it was we watched it together but apart this year. Dynasties are great for sport. I always get a kick out of when I was in high school. After a team won a championship, all the Bulls hats to be out the next day because they go to Jersey City in town and they buy the Bulls hat, the T-shirt, and everything else. Everybody was a Bulls fan or a Laker fan or a Oilers fan the next day. It's great. I think dynasties are great for sport. Um, do you see one coming in any sport?
Well, it'd be interesting to see what the KC Chiefs are like in 3 years, because they've locked up some important pieces, and I don't know how much longer Andy Reid has in them. But they're on their way. They got a
Winning's
good
tough
chance as
though.
any.
Hey, like free agency, winning's tough. Like we're now the way free agency's gone in just our lifetime. Free
Mm-hmm.
makes dynasties tough because brothers got to get paid, right?
And
And
it's especially in football, like you don't teams that have high price running backs rarely succeed. Like it always seems like
yeah, it's
well, we all know that's a different
no,
conversation.
it's tough. It's tough, and you can spend, but if there isn't that cohesiveness on your team, um, it ain't gonna cut her. We hope to see something happen the next few years. Maybe this year with baseball's happening. Dave and I are going to do a baseball special next Wednesday night, the day before opening, the night for opening day. Might get into her a little bit. Who knows? I'm not working on opening day, taking the day off, so I might get into her a little bit, Dave, on Wednesday before we enjoy some baseball games on Thursday afternoon. But that's the plan for next week: Tuesday, Wednesday, and then probably talk to you again on Saturday. But that's the plan for the upcoming shows. Growing up in Southern Alberta was different back in the 80s. We didn't have an FM radio station. Sometimes you could pick something up from Calgary, but 1090 Check was the station of choice back in the day that played just who knows. And on a clear day, you get AM 106, another AM radio station that played the hits, I guess. Many different songs, many different eras, and many different genres, I guess, in the 80s that we can agree and disagree upon, Dave. But what's your earliest memories of 1090 Check here in Lethbridge, Alberta, and what was maybe a song or two that really got you going in the direction you're still on today?
I don't have any specific that kind of come to Jesus moment you speak of there, but
come to Jesus. That's next
weekend. No, but like it was. I wasn't that exposed to music in my until I got a car, and then I could play my own music whenever I wanted to, and that kind of thing. Because I was raised in a fairly religious household that I didn't have a lot of I don't know if I'm explaining myself
No,
right,
I get it. I get it. It's
but
Southern Alberta. I
nonetheless,
get it. It's a thing.
and then so I'm gonna go down to like when I was 16 or 17, a buddy and I was driving. We went to Honeymoon Suites at the Lethbridge Sportsplex.
Nice. I was probably at
Classic
that show as
time.
well. Yeah.
And that was my first taste of live music, and that ignited a little bit of a bug. Not because of Honeymoon Suite, but it was my first time seeing a concert.
In fact, I was at that show. I know this for sure. Yeah, I was. But anyways,
So you must have been a pup then, like with your parents?
87. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was 12 or 13 years old. No, Margaret used to just
See,
open up the car door. Me, a couple buddies would just walk in, walk out, and whatever. Yeah, it was.
yeah, that wasn't an option for me when I was 12 years old. Not that it was like a crazy good. That's not why I liked it, but I just remembered that as my first rock concert I went to on
Yeah.
my own dime, kind of thing.
Honeymoon Suite. I actually saw them years later at a bar in Vernon. Actually, we were the same bar that me and you went to when Club XS there, where you convinced me to go and ask that deaf girl to dance. That's a funny story. We might get it onto another 1420 podcast. But Dave, is there a song that you can remember that, like Honeymoon Suite? But what was your first, the first CD that you bought, or the first tape you bought, or the first mixtape that you made? And what was on that mixtape? Maybe. Don't be shy. Just say you're not going to get divorced because you said it.
No, shit. I really liked Duran Duran back in the day. Hungry
Nothing
Like
wrong with
the
that.
Wolf. That was that was like in the Reflex and Girls on Film.
Yeah.
Those videos kicked a little bit of ass. So I was like, I like Duran Duran.
Duran. Well, I'm a big Reflex guy. That video is fantastic with the waterfall coming on the people.
Exactly, you remember that?
Awesome. The Reflex was great. And then we're both big fans. This was years later when we met up with each other, and I don't know how this came about, but that song, "Take It Easy," Andy Taylor, that Duran Duran disciple.
Yeah.
"Take It Easy" from the American Anthem soundtrack. I don't know how that came up at 11:39. We played it. No one else liked the song but me and you. Maybe that was our TSN turning point in our friendship. Who knows? My first one that I recall, geez, I must have been grade 5 or grade 6, and it was the Quiet Riot /
Come On, Feel the Noise.
Yeah, / Twisted Sister years. The hair metal originals, that kind of stuff. I like this stuff, and that kind of molded me not to who I am, but to the stuff I'd listen to today. Still like a little bit of guitar stuff. Don't mind a little bit of cheesiness, and that kind of changed. Like that was kind of one of the first things I remember listening to radio, and 10, 12 years old, whatever I was, being a little hard as fuck, I guess, is one way of putting it. And it was interesting. You look back and you go, I can't believe my parents let me listen to that stuff.
Seeing myself as I'm thinking about it as we speak, like I never started really appreciating good guitar, and now today I still like pop, but I really prefer like music with some bass and stuff. Like I like listening to funk and R&B sometimes, not hip hop, but like that's music I never even gave a chance in my formative years, and I like listening to that shit too.
There was man, it was just like a few years ago, and I think it was when the time that NWA movie came out, Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
I never, ever listened to that. And why would I? Was a 40-some-year-old white guy from Fort McLeod, Alberta. I'm not disregarding the music. I'm not being racist.
Wasn't our bag.
It wasn't my bag. The first time I heard that was when that music came out, and some friends of mine, they played some CDs, and I had my hand on my mouth. I was aghast, I guess you could say, like that. I was like,
you clutched your pearls?
I was like, I can't believe this is happening. So it was just strange that a bunch of white people were and bopping their heads and the stuff. And okay, whatever you're into, man. And so it was very interesting to me.
Yeah. But like the point going back, like it was, I find
Different.
music I like, yeah, different. Like I have a much more fond appreciation of some Iron Maiden now than I did when it was brand new. Because
See,
I couldn't stand Iron Maiden and Judas Priest back in the day. Even
see,
Ozzy, I couldn't stand it. But
it's
now
funny you say that, Dave, because I had that written down, and we don't rehearse this stuff. We honestly, people who listen, we all five of you, um, we don't talk about I send the topics out, and then we just banter. I wrote down basically the same thing. Is that when I used to go to the arcade back in Fort McLeod in 1987, 88, 86, whatever year it was, and guys would be playing Maiden, Priest, Run to the Hills, Ozzy, and all this stuff, AC/DC. I was like, ugh, can't we put Huey Lewis on? Because I was more of a AM 106 guy. So I would listen to Huey Lewis, who I still adore to this day. But now, when you hear those songs, it brings back memories of maybe those days in the arcade and or parties later on in life that you're at. You're like, oh yeah, Run to the Hills, and it's AC/DC was like another one that you just awesome.
And here the absolute turning point is Guns N' Roses' "Sweet Child of Mine."
Said the
That's
exact. I have that written down right there.
And then like
Funny.
in
That's
life,
funny.
like if I ask, I've said this to people, I can't trust anyone that doesn't like "Sweet Child of Mine."
It's a great song.
I I don't get it. I don't
Yeah,
well, I don't
so
even know what I don't want to know what you're about if you don't like that song.
first time I heard that song was I think it was 87. I was at the Civic Ice Center here in Lethbridge, Alberta. Aaron Bowe had his this big stupid ghetto blaster thing in. He put it on in the dressing room, and it was just that changed the game. That changed the game from Poison, Nothing But a Good Time, to Guns N' Roses, which went on to the grunge. But I'll digress on that. But
But that like top 3 songs in history as far as I'm concerned.
another one that changed the game for me, Dave, and I know you had a bit of a bad experience with this one, but in 1990, I think it was, and I told the story the other day to a kid at work. Man, I'm getting old, but "Shake Your Money Maker," the Black Crowes. The first time I heard that, wow, I was just like, this is so fantastic. I was playing hockey in Notre Dame, Saskatchewan. It was a warm up song, hard to handle. Sorry, that came on the speaker, and I was like, "This is something else. It was just different. It was just different." And I asked the kid in the other team. I said, "Hey, who is this? I've never heard before." Black Crowes. Sure enough, somebody in the dorm Notre Dame had it. I had my tape, and he had a CD, and we recorded. That was a great album, "Shake Your Money Maker," and I still adore it to this day.
I love the Crows. Like and like I think we've told the story. That was my most, because I love the Black Crows so much.
Yeah,
Is how it became the most disappointing live performance I've ever witnessed.
terrible, isn't it?
It sucked. It's worse than a Reno.
I like Reynolds.
We got 4 hours to kill. What do you want to do?
As an umpire, I love a rainout. Oh man, oh man. So we go to the bar 4 hours earlier? Nice. I love myself a rainout. No, nothing wrong with that. Is there any songs nowadays, Dave, that catch your ears and you're like, hey, these guys are pretty good?
I can't comment with any kind of knowledge. I'll be 100% honest.
Yeah.
My kid and I aren't in the car like we used to be,
Yeah.
just because
you're not going anywhere.
Road trips. Yeah, exactly. Right. So I don't hear any new stuff, I'll be honest.
Yeah, there's a couple that I tap my toe to here and there when I'm driving around or going back and forth from Medicine to Lethbridge, but nothing that's I don't know any artists.
No, neither me. And But I will say this back to the thing in the music. The more you start appreciating music and seeing artists you appreciate, there's nothing better than live music. There is absolutely nothing better than live music. I remember having so much fun, like the perfect concerts are out there, whether it be a bar or in the Saddle Dome or in an outdoor venue. They're so good, and I miss that more than I miss sports.
When the crowd's singing along, or you just you turn your head and you just give a guy that you'll never see again a smirk, that's good times.
It's fabulous, and
Yeah.
and that's you get the same feeling when you're at the perfect sports moment, but more often than not, when you pay for that music ticket, you're going to get the ending you want, right?
Well, the thing is, like when you go to a sporting event, there's a percentage of people who are there because it's a sporting event. They don't care what's happening on the field. They're there, like I'll say in the Bronx, Yankee Stadium it's touristy because you go to Manhattan. What do? You go to a Yankee game. Everybody who pays a ticket to go to a concert goes for the same reason, to hear that band. And they may have a memory from 30 years ago where they heard a song that reminds them of making up with some chick in the backseat of a car, or when they got their first job, or whatever it is. Music has more memories for everyone than any sporting event does. And I, as a sports dork, I can say that with complete confidence.
Yeah, and I think it must stimulate the same endorphins in the system to give the euphoria of everybody being on the same page. Like, it's even heightened, like when your team wins a big game in the playoffs and with your friends, when Canada wins the gold medal. Like, the more people sharing the same emotional energy at the exact same time, there's nothing more euphoric.
No, there's something that about,
and you get it at a concert,
and whatever gets in one building at a concert, they're there for one reason.
Yes,
and that's it. And when you go to a sporting event, it's split. I'm here to watch something. I don't know. It's so. But when you go to a concert, you're there for one reason, and that's to watch those 4 or 5 or 6 guys on stage, and that's it. And it's fantastic. Anyways, if you have a great song or something that reminds you of your childhood, get back to the 1420 podcast social media pages, because we like to hear this kind of stuff. Fun show again tonight. I'd like to give a thank you out right now to Dave for helping me through this journey we're on. 7 months into this thing, 7,000 plus downloads and listens and everything else. For the producer for putting up with me through this whole thing and doing all the behind the scenes work. And now for Jim Neutron Boy Genius for helping out with the sound, which was lacking. It's kind of funny, Dave. We used to just do this off my iPhone at a table down in the tavern here. Now we have a sound guy, I guess. We're growing a little bit, and it's been a lot of fun.
I'm so happy to contribute. Like, I'm having a blast doing it as well. I'm glad to hear people are listening, because I do this. Well, we've done it before in front of nobody.
Yeah. When there was no listening but me and you, we thought people were listening, but they were telling us to shut up, which is kind of funny.
Now, at the campfire, like, you good for another one? Yeah, okay. Like, and that was like
people are telling us shut up. Now they're buying hats. They want to. I don't know. It's funny. It's just funny. Speaking of hats, buy a hat. See, segue, Dave. Buy a hat, buy a t-shirt, help support the show. We love putting this out for you. We won't stop anytime soon. As long as you guys keep listening, we'll keep putting it out there. If you have anything you guys want us to talk about, we'll be more than happy to give our opinion about it. But anyways, make sure, take care of yourself, but more importantly, take care of each other, because we need you around. Keep your stick on the ice, and Dave,
don't swing at the high ones, Jimmy.
There we go.